So you got a new job, whether it be a student job or a full-time job, you're starting a new job soon and you're really excited about the job and you're wondering, how do you prepare for this job? So one of the things that I always like to do before starting a new job is to email the supervisor and ask them, hey, like, I'm starting on this day, is, in a week's or 2 weeks time. Are there any materials that I should, review before starting on my day one? Oftentimes, if they do have materials ahead of time, they might email you already, but it's always good to, seem to be a bit more proactive. And chances are they might not have anything for you. They might, prepare your materials as of day one versus having for you to read materials ahead of time. But some places might send you materials to read ahead of time, and it is a good way for you to do it based on your own schedule to, read things ahead of time so that on day one you might have questions. And the second thing is, even if they say, I don't have any materials, it's also a good idea to just search up, on their organizational or their company's website to see if there's any recent reports that were published, or if you're working on a particular project, just Google it to see if you can find anything online. So you can read up on it again, and just to familiarize yourself with the material, and that, when you start going through orientation, you start meeting with your team members, you start having one-on-ones to understand the project, for example, you can ask a bit more pointed questions, and you wouldn't feel so lost. Of course, any new person on a team is going to feel lost regardless, because you're walking into a situation where everyone else around you has already a good grasp on the content. They know exactly what they're doing, and you're the newbie on the block, with the lack of knowledge and details in whatever regard, in whatever you're doing. So of course you're going to feel lost, but try to do things that makes you feel a bit more confident in the situation, and that it makes you feel like you're more in charge of what's happening rather than, being a lost sheep in the herd. The second thing that I will also recommend you to do is, search up your team members if you can. Look them on LinkedIn, see, what their career pathways are, who they are, etc. And it gives you a chance to, know these people before going in. And oftentimes when a new person starts on a team, there's some sort of bio that gets sent out about you. So they already know who you are. They likely already Googled you on LinkedIn. So it's a fair game. So, you can also do the same and also Google and see what you can find of them, so you get a better understanding of their personality and what they do on the team as well. And then finally, think about how your day one's going to go. People are probably going to ask you to introduce yourself. So if you're not good at introductions, think about what you can say ahead of time. If you are going into a quite conservative environment where you need a new wardrobe, for example, these are things you want to consider. If you're going to work in a place where you don't really know the area well, you have to commute, then obviously, spend the time to map out different ways of commuting back home to and from the office, and also suss out the area as well. Again, if you're going to a new area and you're the type to go buy lunch all the time, then you might also want to see, what available options are around there. And also plan out what you're trying to do, in week one. I think when you start the job, a lot of things are going to come your way. A lot of different meeting invitations. They may have orientations booked for you already. So once you start the job, you might feel the first couple of weeks really driven by your team versus you don't really have a handle on your situation. So really take the time before you start the job to really set high level goals, so what you want to achieve in the first month. So for example, high level goals could be like, in the first month, I want to have had the chance of, having at least a 30-minute coffee chat with each of my team member. Or in the first month, I want to have had the chance to, go on the shared drive or SharePoint to read a bunch of historical documents so I have a better understanding on the projects. So set out these high level goals. So during your first month, as much as your schedule is going to be driven by what your team thinks you should do as an orientation session, also try to have a handle in terms of, what other accomplishments do you want to achieve, so you can have a better sense of the organization, the politics, the people, and the projects. All this will really help you in terms of, navigating your life as a newbie in a new company.